Well, Kentucky tried to complete the comeback, but in the end, the Cats could not get it done.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's 96-88 loss on the road against Louisville. This was a game that looked like it was going to get out of hand pretty early, and then the Wildcats nearly got back in this one after being down 20 in the second half, and then they could not close it out despite several opportunities, a couple of huge missed free throws, and the Cats just could not, again, get it done. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if their bet wins, they'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You can download the app today. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. I want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. And if you're watching on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed to the show. And if you are listening on podcast, I would also appreciate it if you subscribed there as well. We are live on YouTube. Again, recapping Kentucky's 96-88 loss to the Louisville Cardinals. We will start here. We will give credit to the victors. I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not sitting here telling you exactly what's going to happen in the future, but if you listen to the preview episode, we kind of got everything in that preview episode, and it kind of played out here as far as what both of these teams might possibly do offensively, defensively. I think the one thing that we couldn't account for is just how impactful Sananda Frew was defensively. That was basically the only thing that was kind of not in that preview episode. But the lead question was, or one of the biggest questions I should say, was can Kentucky rely on their can these two teams rely on their two lead point guards to become efficient scorers in this game? Can they be scorers and not just distributors? And Mikel Brown Jr., who I said it's probably going to lean on him more than anything in that group of point guards there. I mean, he answered the call. 29 points, 8 of 16 from the floor, 3 of 10 from beyond the arc, but he also was 10 of 11 from the charity stripe. He had 5 assists to just 1 turnover, most of his damage coming in that first half, 20 of his 29. And then you also look in that Louisville backcourt to Ryan Conwell, who had 24 points, 8 of 12 from the free throw line, 4 of 10 from 3. Those were the guys that basically ended this game. And again, a lot of their damage came in the first half. 53 first half points for the Cardinals. Kentucky down by 7 heading into the break. They got down as much as 20 with 12 minutes to go in this game. Kentucky crawled back into this one, made it, I believe, a 6-point game. They could have cut this game to 3. Unfortunately, they did not. Late, a couple of missed 1-and-1s. Front ends of 1-and-1s, I should say. Most notably, that one for Jalen Lowe. Super late in this game. Lowe with a couple of costly turnovers at the end. He shot 2 of 8 from the floor. Lowe in 29 minutes did not, I think, have his best game. But I think the backcourt is kind of where this starts here as far as these two teams competing. I'll get to Aberdeen in a second, but again, it was Conwell and Brown who led the charge, and Brown played phenomenally. I mean, this was a guy all the way back over a year ago. We've been talking about him on the show for a hot minute, about how talented he is, how fluid with the ball he is, really good distributor, but he also showed, again, the scoring prowess tonight. You saw that in high school, was shooting like 33% from deep to start this season. He still is actually shooting around there because he went 3 for 10 in this game, but it was the foul drawing, it was the tough shot making, it was the explosiveness at various points, driving to the rim. Something that Kentucky could not do in the first half is prevent some of those straight line drives that honestly I thought Kentucky would be a little bit better at. I thought they were at times in this game. But again, Mikel Brown Jr., Ryan Conwell, just sort of taking the ball in their offhand, shielding off their defender, and Kentucky just was not physical enough in that first half to prevent some really easy opportunities at the rim. 36 points in the paint for Louisville. It felt like a lot more than that, especially in that first period of play. Cats defensively just kind of fall apart at various points. They got caught switching into some really bad matchups. They struggled to prevent some really important wide open looks from three, some of which Louisville hit, actually most of which Louisville hit in that first half, to kind of expand this lead to where it got to. Again, Conwell, Brown, and then Isaac McKneely were the guilty parties there. You also have to give credit to Adrian Woolley, who hit 2 really big threes in this game, I thought, at various points. Kentucky, I thought, defensively, they had some issues. No duh. At the same time, though, if you are looking ahead, if you are trying to be positive, the reality of the situation is we knew going into this game, as much as you guys might not like to admit it, this is a very good Louisville team. It's better than they were a season ago. The personnel, I think, plays into the strengths of what Pat Kelsey wants to do on offense. They are going to be a very good team. They are a very good team. They showed it tonight. For Kentucky moving forward, are you going to see another team that knocks down 13 three-pointers against you? You probably won't, actually. Are you going to see a team that puts up 40 three-point shots on you in total? Honestly, you probably won't, unless things get really desperate for somebody in SEC play. This is a really, really good offense. It's about volume. That's been the name of the game. We've preached that on the show. The coaches have preached that, and they were able to get, again, 13 three-pointers tonight. And then the other thing we talked about was the free throw line. I thought that was the third thing in this game that would dictate how this goes. Kentucky, a season ago, doubled up Louisville in terms of free throws, and tonight, Louisville doubled up Kentucky. 31 free throw attempts as opposed to Kentucky's 16. Kentucky went 12 of 16 from the line. Louisville, 21 of 31. They had a chance to close out there. I believe they missed 6 straight at the end of the game to let Kentucky hang around for the final minute and a half. Again, Kentucky couldn't do anything with it. They turned the ball over, I think, 3 times. Just free throws, not being able to contain Mikel Brown Jr., not playing with enough intensity early in this game. It's clear Pope is able to get heart and fight out of this team. Really like the way that they tried to come back in this one. Really gritty stuff. We'll get to some of the positives here. As far as the defense goes, some bad stuff tonight in terms of switching. I think it's all fixable, and you have to also understand the reality of Jaden Quayton's coming back for this squad at some point in the near future. And I think that completely changes what Kentucky can do on the defensive end because of his length, because of his paint presence, and because of what he can do blocking shots and altering things and just being another athletic presence that the Wildcats can have on the floor. So 96-88, again, is the final score. Frustrating loss for the Wildcats. Can't complete the comeback. We'll talk more about this game. We'll get to some of your thoughts in the live chat here in just a little bit. Before we do all of that, though, tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. College football is back. Could not be more excited. Actually, really, college basketball is back at this point. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. You got to see it tonight. There's really just nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets to some of these games can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. It's endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. And that's why I use Game Time. It's the app that gives advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay, and the app makes it super simple. You can see your exact view from your seat before buying. They've also got really good zone deals. You can pick the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. You can take the guesswork out of buying your college football or college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, continuing along here on tonight's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Appreciate everybody in the live chat. Go ahead and just drop your thoughts on how the game went. I've not gotten to take a look just yet, but I'm sure a lot of you have some really passionate thoughts about this one. 96-88 is the final score. I'd actually be really curious to see, okay, we have already gotten an update here from KenPom. Kentucky's offense actually goes up to 7th in the nation. Their defense drops from 4th, I believe, to 8th. Still, I mean, and they're still projected to only lose 2 games from here on out, actually. So, hey, as far as how the Wildcats performed in this one, I mean, it's not the end of the world. This is a very, 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 very good Louisville team. And they got hot. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. It's not an excuse. I'm not telling you, oh, well, Kentucky could have. Like, the reality is Louisville got really hot, especially in the first half, especially in the middle 8 of this game. They were able to stretch their lead. Cats could not complete the comeback. The most positive thing to come out of this, I think, is the fact that Denzel Aberdeen is like a legitimate like bucket getter for Kentucky. And there's also a negative that plays off of this. I'll get to that in a moment. But Denzel Aberdeen in this game, 26 points on 20 shots. He was 4 of 10 from 3. He had 7 boards, 3 assists, just 1 turnover in 31 minutes of play. If I'm not mistaken, he was the only one, or he was one of just a couple of Wildcats to finish with a positive plus minus. In fact, he was one of 3. He was +1. Jasper Johnson was +3 somehow in 6 minutes. And then Cam Williams with 5 points, hit his first 3 of the season. He was +11, kind of helped provide that spark for Kentucky as they tried to make the comeback in the second period. But Aberdeen got it done in a variety of ways. 10 shots inside the arc, some stuff in the mid-range, some stuff in the paint, driving to the rim, hitting some step backs, hitting some really tough shots from deep. I was impressed with how Aberdeen played. It's really nice to have that confidence in your shooting guard to say, okay, well, at least you can go out there and get some buckets. Will he be hyper efficient moving forward? I'm not quite sure. That's 50, 40, and then 66% from the free throw line because he went 2 for 3. So that's a positive. Aberdeen scoring a lot. That was great to see. He was a senior who was tough in this moment and tried to help bring on the comeback. A player who I'm going to try, well, actually, I know what I'm going to say here. A player who 3 games into the year is a shell of who he was a season ago. Otega Dawe. This might be the worst game I've seen from Otega. It was pitiful the way that he played tonight. I don't want to read too much into body language or energy or just or attitude. I'm not here to do that with Dawe. But what I am here to do is to read you this stat line. 12 points, keeps his double-digit streak going. There he is. 4 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3, 5 boards, 2 assists, fouled out, 5 turnovers, a block, 2 steals in 28 minutes, -16. He was the worst player on the floor tonight in terms of box plus minus. He sucked. There's no other way to put it. Those 5 turnovers killed Kentucky at times. In fact, if you're going to pin this on like one individual moment or excuse me, one individual player or even one individual moment, I could probably give you 2. I could give you 3. I could give you 3 moments in this game that might have swung things one way or another. I think that Dawe with his 5 turnovers killed Kentucky. If you want to go look at points off turnovers, if you want to cringe a little bit, let's see. Kentucky had 14 turnovers. Louisville had 19 points off those 14 turnovers. Just abysmal. And again, Dawe the largest contributor to that. I think that his play tonight was a reason why Kentucky lost. I think that there were 2 huge back-to-back threes that Louisville had in the first half where Kentucky, I think, like airballed. It might have been 2 shots in a row. Just really bad stuff. That's another reason why I think Kentucky lost. Just those 6 points there, huge swing. If you don't have those, if you were able to get a couple of stops in a row, obviously this game looks completely different at the end. And then the turnover from Lowe there at the very end when Kentucky could have cut this to a 1-possession game, like 3 or 2 points. And then also I think you could have looked at that front end of a 1-and-1 that he missed after being 3 for 3 from the line up until that point. Dawe was absolutely awful tonight. It was shocking if you had told me that Cam Williams would have outplayed Otega Dawe in terms of defense and in terms of just sound basketball tonight, I would have been like, yeah, Kentucky's going to lose by 1 million. Kentucky got outplayed on the wing. If you want to go look at Mohamed Diabate, he had 7 points, 4 boards, but he also was -15 in 18 minutes of play. Dawe and Diabate, 2 of your more physical guys, couldn't get it done defensively. Just flat out could not get things done defensively. Again, to go back to the turnovers here, Louisville with just 6 turnovers. Just 6 turnovers. 2 of which came in the first half, 4 came in the second at some really key moments. 19 points off of turnovers. free throws, Mikel Brown, turnovers. Dawe was bad. You had a lot of opportunities, honestly, to get back into this game at the very end. Completing the comeback was just a dream. If they had been able to do that, I might have burned my house down in excitement. But they didn't. I mean, this is obviously a different team from a season ago where they played two really good squads in Duke and Gonzaga. They got down big. They were able to find a way to come back. Those teams also didn't have shooters like Louisville does. That's the reality. They don't have offense like that. Kentucky actually outshot Louisville from the floor 47% to 45%. Shows you how important the free throw line was in this game. Kentucky 12 of 34 from three. They actually outshot in terms of percentage the Cards from deep. They did not outshoot them in terms of volume. 14 turnovers for Kentucky, 6 for Louisville. Kentucky out-rebounds the Cards 42 to 40, even in offensive rebounds, 2 more defensive rebounds, 16 second chance points for Kentucky. That was big. They outscored them in bench points, points in the paint, somehow fast break points, according to the official stats broadcast. They had just as many blocks. Louisville had 11 steals to Kentucky's 4, and they had 20 assists on 31 made baskets. At one point, I believe it was like 28 baskets and then 20 assists. It might have been somewhere around there. They kind of fumbled down the stretch a little bit. Louisville did. Like their composure was clearly shaken whenever Kentucky was able to bring this game within a couple, like up 2 possessions, 1 possession. And if Kentucky had made like just one more shot, this game could have completely ended differently. We could be talking about this so different. So this is not the end of the world. Again, I know that every single time you lose to Louisville, it sucks. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the first time Kentucky has lost to Louisville in the history of me doing this show, which is crazy to think about. This sucks. However, it is not the end of the world. I think the numbers would say that. I think that just watching the way that Kentucky fought in this game would say that. I think looking down the road at some of the offenses that you're going to play, that would say that as well. I think Alabama is really the only other team that you could be concerned about. And to be honest with you, even Alabama does not like push tempo like Louisville does. In fact, they're like a second and a half slower in terms of average possession. And if you go and watch them, yes, they've got similar personnel. I don't think that they have as high of a ceiling. A very, very, very good Louisville team that Kentucky lost to. So let's actually get to the live chat in a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, what we're thinking moving forward for this Cat squad. Get y'all's thoughts about how this game went. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game, if you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially whenever your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up today and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's close this thing out here talking a little bit to the live chat. Again, really appreciate you guys tuning in. 350 of you in here. Daggum. Appreciate everybody in here. Justin, Louisville shot lights out. I'm surprised Kentucky was able to get back in the game. It was surprising that they were able to mount this comeback. Will Louisville go nuts like that again against a team of Kentucky's quality? Not quite sure, but again, hey, you step up for a rival, you deserve to win if you play like that. Louisville fans, okay, can't say that. Sorry, Captain Crash. By the way, Captain Crash, do want to point this out. You called it. You said Aberdeen would be big in this game. I saw that comment. You were right. He was big, just not enough. First win since 2020. Yeah, so that'd be the first time in the history of my time here at Locked On Kentucky. Do you think this team just isn't gelling yet? I think, Stephanie, I think that is a resounding yes for 2 reasons. First and foremost, if your coach is telling you it might take a little bit of time in the offseason for this team to gel, as good as they might be, it's a pretty good sign of like, hey, we might need to get this thing going. Or it might take a little time to get this thing going relative to all of the senior experience that we had a season ago. So that's a big reason. So absolutely. And then also, Jaden Quaintance hasn't played yet. Arguably the best defender in college basketball has not stepped foot on the court for the blue and white. Hasn't happened yet. Until he does, you will not understand how good this Kentucky team could be, I should say. The ceiling is 1,000% a national championship. 1,000%. Tonight doesn't change that. You lost by 8 on the road in a game where you got down by 20, and Mikel Brown Jr. went for 29 freaking points. You play this in Lexington, you probably win, right? Like we're not freaking out end of the world. This is a very good team without the best defender that you have. One of the best in the country. It's the reason why you spent money on him. They got hot. It happens. They doubled us up at the free throw line. Kentucky made mistakes down the stretch whenever they did try to close. We get up and we move on to Eastern Illinois. I mean, this is where we're at. The disappointment in Pope, Owe, and Jasper, happy Aberdeen, Lowe, and Chandler. Roses should be given to Yelovich and Cam. Hey, Yelovich played well. Cam played well. Yeah, Owe stunk. Jasper, again, Jasper's right now, he is not physically prepared for games like this, and he's probably not physically prepared, generally speaking, for SEC play. He's just not. He's not there. He's not good enough of a ball handler, and if the spot-up shooting's not there, it's not a valuable ad. It's why he played 6 minutes tonight. If Kentucky won, y'all be dragging on this for a week. No, I'd be saying, hey, cannot believe we found a way to win that game. Just further solidifies what I think about this team. You know, I thought this was a game that they could lose. This is a very, very good Louisville team. Great win. We're probably going to be talking about it in NCAA tournament time. And we move on. KY till I die. The free throws and turnovers beat us. We should not have played this game early. Would have been nice to have played it whenever we normally do. But again, I don't think that's the reason why Kentucky lost. So we're going to have plenty more hard non-conference games coming. Not as hard as this one. And to be honest with you, some of the big games you either get like close to home or in Rupp. Right? Like this was a tough environment against, I think, the best team on the non-con slate that you've got. I think they're better than Gonzaga. I think Kentucky probably matches up better with Gonzaga. Probably matches up better with Indiana. Probably matches up better with St. John's. Probably matches up better with Michigan State and North Carolina. So like you have opportunities here to go out and still win. You were also projected to win this game or lose this game by nearly the exact amount that you lost. Right? I understand that there are disappointments. There's reasons to be frustrated coming out of this game. There are not reasons to say it's end of the world, meltdown, pull the plug, freak out mode. You gotta kind of take a step back here coming out of it. It was a good game nonetheless. That's a great point from Noah. This was an awesome game. The environment was great. Hey, what have we been asking for? What have we been asking for? For this rivalry to mean something. It does now. It does now. Absolutely. I don't see JQ coming back. They're expecting for him to come back like 5 or 6 months earlier than someone with his injury does. I mean, just based on the reporting from the head coach himself, he's going to play. Like we see what Kayshawn Pryor is doing. People stop saying JQ is going to be JQ when he comes back. If you're placing your season on the back of a dude coming back from a severe injury, there's an issue. Kayshawn Pryor is not Jaden Quaintance. Kayshawn Pryor is not a lottery pick. Kayshawn Pryor's like not even close to the defender that Jaden Quaintance is, even after recovering. I don't get that at all. Don't let this game disappoint. There will be plenty more disappointment for all of the season. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, man. Hopefully Pope is honest with BG at the end of the season because he's not a starter caliber player for Kentucky. Sophomore Marino will be starting next season. BG needs to transfer. Not quite sure what Kentucky's going to do in the front court. However, I'm not fully on the road, or I'm not fully on that road yet, but I could start walking down it. The offensive IQ against heavy defensive pressure just goes out the window. I mean, also at the same time, you saw Kentucky make some baskets in isolation tonight. It was kind of clutch. It was nice to see. L's down. BBN will bounce back. I feel it. You can't look at this team and say, okay, we were projected to lose by 6.5. We lost by 8 on the road against a top 10 team. We suck. It's the end of the world. You can't come out of this game with that takeaway and it be logical, right? Knowing that the full team is not here yet, your point guard is still recovering a little bit from his shoulder injury. There's a reason why he's still got that brace on. I mean, let's take JQ out of the equation here for a second. Let's just say he doesn't freaking come. Let's say he doesn't play, right? Let's just say he never plays. We never see him again. Nobody ever sees him on the face of this earth, right? You can't argue with the fact that this team has the opportunity to get better. You can't argue with that. They're 3 games into the season. They have more youth than they had a season ago. They've got a coach that knows what he's doing, clearly based on a product of a season and 3 games. You can't argue with the reality of the fact that there is opportunity for this team to get better. It's not like it's the end of the world. So anyone out there that wants to say, oh, well, you can't bank on Jaden Quaintance. Oh, he sucks. Oh, he's going to get hurt. Oh, whatever. You can shut up. You can shut up. The reality is you have games on your schedule coming soon where you can go out there and you can continue to prove yourself. I think you proved yourself tonight to be capable of winning these types of games, right? You lost, but you're still a good team. Any idiot with half a brain can realize looking at this team, oh, they're still good. So enough with that. Let's throw JQ out the equation then. Let's just say nobody ever sees him again. This team still can get better. It's a moronic statement. It's a moronic statement to say that this is the end of the world and don't talk about Jaden Quaintance. Okay, then we won't. We won't. If you're Mark Pope, what do you do? Well, what do you take away from Cam Williams from the small time he played tonight? That he's a spark off the bench still. I think this is what we were saying, Caden. As far as like the start for Cam, right? As far as the fact that he's not played well. He played well at Tulane. He's a 41% 3-point shooter. Like, it's going to come around at some point. It's nice to see it come around in this game. If you're looking at him and you're Pope and you're saying, okay, this is a 6'8" player that can turn it on, you got to be able to try and find a way to get him on the court, especially against some of these more athletic, physical teams, because he's a body that can go out there, and I think he can hang. As long as you're not relying on him to be a significant ball handler, I think he's a playable kid. That's what we thought. That's what I thought, even despite his poor start to the year. They lost because of turnovers, and that can be easily fixed. Believe it or not, they'll lose 3 or 5 more games. Hey, shocker, reality check for you guys. Reality check walking in the door. Kentucky's not going to go undefeated this season. It's not going to happen. Even the best college basketball teams over the last several years don't do that. They show chips in the armor. They struggle at various points. They lose 4 or 5 games, right? Again, let's reiterate, what are we looking at right now with KenPom? Kentucky is projected to lose 2 more games. 2. The projected record at the end says 23-8, simply because of the fact that, well, they can't, it's very difficult for them to do that. But in terms of analytics, in terms of win-loss projection, like the projection for each individual game, I'm seeing 84, 83, 65, 84, 79, 56, 90, 71, 81, 60, 86. Like, they are projected to win basically every conference game and every single game in the non-con slate until that starts. The 2 losses that they are projected to have are to number 12 Tennessee on the road and number 10 Florida. There will be bumps in the road, right? But the reality is, we still have everything in front of us. I do not want to hear any sort of argument that 2-1 Kentucky, after losing it on the road against a top 10 team, it's over. That is a stupid argument. That is such a dumb argument. I do not want to hear it. It makes no sense. So, I appreciate everybody watching. For the Louisville fans, congratulations. First win in a hot minute. Rivalry is back. Played well. You can go into your sorry conference and win 16-plus games without even breaking a sweat, I should say. We over here in the SEC are going to actually try and play some legitimate competition. Knowing y'all you just won't even have that on the plate. But hey, you got to win against us. You stepped up and you made plays. Good for y'all. All right. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Really appreciate you guys checking out the show today. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, I would love it if you did so. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be talking a little bit more probably about this game because a lot of you, it sounds like, need a reality check. Sorry. Just how it is. And then we'll be also talking a little bit about Kentucky football because really interesting how things have kind of played out there, both on and off the field. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. You can follow the show on Twitter at LockedOnUK. Follow me on Twitter at LanceDawe_. Follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And God bless.